there, we're Clairey Lane Patterns, and today we're going to be sewing our Jane dress. This dress comes in sizes 0 to 3 all the way up to 4 years of age, and it's suitable for beginners. Come and sew along with us. Alrighty, so first off, we're going to iron our interfacing pieces to the centre back of your back bodice. This will help to reinforce your buttons or snaps so it's not flimsy and it won't tear through your fabric. Now we've all done it, but you want to make sure that you're ironing the interfacing to the wrong side of your fabric. Now you're going to take out a fabric pen and copy the dots from your bodice paper pattern onto your fabric pieces. Take the front and the back bodice pieces. What you want to do is pin and sew the shoulder seams together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Make sure that this is right sides together. Now we're going to follow the exact same steps for your lining fabric. Now that you've sewn your shoulder seams on your main fabric and your lining fabric, head over to your iron and you want to iron the shoulder seams flat. You want to lay your main bodice on the top of your bodice lining, right side together. And you're going to sew them together at the armholes, the neckline, and the centre back with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And just a reminder, this is right side together. Snip off the corners at the centre back. This is so when that you turn it right side out, it's not bulky. And you also want to make cuts not all the way down to your sewn line, but you want to cut into the seam allowance on the neckline corners just to give it a bit of flexibility so it doesn't pull and bunch when you turn it in the right way. Now you're going to turn your bodice right side out by pulling the back through the shoulder. Now this can be a really frustrating step, especially when it feels like the shoulder seams are just too tight. Do it gently, you don't want to tear any of your stitching, but it can be done. It's been tested, it's possible, and you can do it. Head back over to your iron and you want to press it flat, concentrating on the neckline and your armholes. Now we're going to finish your bodice. You want to separate your main bodice and the lining at the side seams. And then you're going to pin right side together at the side seams, main fabric to main fabric and lining to lining. When this gets flipped out the right way, you'll notice that it will have a complete bodice. Head over to your sewing machine and you want to sew the side seams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, of course, right side together. And you want to iron the side seams flat. Now you want to top stitch the edges of the armhole, the neckline, and your centre back for a nice clean finish. It's getting exciting now that it's starting to look like a little dress. You're going to overlap your back bodice pieces so that the notches match up. Now you're going to sew them in place. You can do a basting stitch or a permanent stitch, it doesn't really matter. It's just to stop it sliding around. And then you can go and attach the snaps to the dots on the back of your bodice. Now I prefer to use snaps instead of buttons, just because I find buttons are a pain. We're going to work on the pocket now. For this one, we're just using our simple pocket. So you take out your ruler and draw 2 lines, a 1/4 inch and 1 inch from the top edge of your pocket. You're going to iron a fold down at the 1/4 inch line towards the back. And then you want to iron another fold towards your 1 inch line and sew it down. Make sure that your pocket's facing down and you want to draw lines 1/2 inch from the bottom and the side edges. Then iron a fold at each line towards the back. You're going to take out your front and your back skirt and sew the side seams of your skirts with a 1/2 inch seam allowance right side together. You'll want to overlock these seams or finish them. You can use a zigzag stitch or a serger. My preference is overlocking, it lasts a lot longer. Lay the front of your skirt right side up and you're going to use the dots on the skirt as a guide so you can pin down the pockets. Now, these are a guide only. You can do it however you like, high or low, or even all the way to the sides. It's whatever your preference is. And then you want to take it over to your machine and top stitch along the bottom and the sides of the pocket, leaving the top open so little hands, rocks, sticks, whatever your little one wants to put in there, they can actually do it. You want to head over to your sewing machine and set it to its longest stitch length. You can normally find the guides for your particular sewing machine online if you've lost a paper copy. And you're going to sew a line 3/8 of an inch from the top of each of your bottom pieces. And now you'll want to sew a second line. This line will be right between the raw edge and the line that you've just sewn to help gather it. Now you're going to turn your bodice right side out and your skirt inside out. Insert your bodice into your skirt. Now you'll notice by our video clip that we didn't follow our own instructions and we had to redo this step. So don't be like us. Then you're going to pin the side seams together and then pin the center notch of the front skirt to the center notch of the front bodice. And then pin the center notch of the back skirt to the center notch of the back bodice. Then you're going to pull one set of the long tails of thread that you've left and gather until the skirt fits your bodice. Do this gently. There's nothing worse than when your thread snaps. You're going to pin this down and then sew the waist seam with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. We're almost done now. You want to start hemming your skirt. So you can use this as a guide of our instructions or you can hem it as high or as low as you want. So what we do, we're going to take out your ruler and draw 2 lines, a 1/4 inch and 1 inch from the bottom edge of the skirt. Iron a fold at the 1/4 inch line towards the back and then fold it over again and iron a line at the 1 inch mark. Now you can pin along the edge and then take it back over to your sewing machine and sew along the edge of your fold. And voila, you have finished. Well done. Thanks for joining us today. Follow along and please be sure to leave a comment if you have any feedback for us. We're always looking to improve our patterns.